didn't see a lot of this coming. Not gonna lie, I didn't see certain games, certain series even happening in the first place. Definitely didn't see the Pelicans, like I said before, playing the Suns. They steal one in Phoenix. Man, I didn't see Toronto and the Sixers looking like this. I always go one city name and then a team name. I don't even know why I do that. I just do it. I can't even stop doing it. But the first round of the playoffs is here. And as no one anticipated, we have just obscene levels of chaos on our hands. Just only the Miami Heat Atlanta series is actually playing out pretty much exactly like everyone thought it would. And if Clint Capella was there, maybe not. Maybe not. And yet we still haven't seen him go back to Atlanta yet. So there's time. There's time for more chaos. So let's look at all of the series. So much is popping. Let's start with Boston and the Nets. Probably, we'll call it the heavyweight fight. Let's go heavyweight fight first. Just an instant classic series. The way that Kevin Durant is being guarded is unlike maybe he's ever been guarded in his life. The physicality is absurd. The way that they're playing him. Ime Udoka, who actually coached for the Nets last year, he was on the bench, which he has a little inside baseball going on, which he knows what the coverage names are. He knows what kind of sets they want to run. And, of course, he knows that Steve Nash doesn't actually know how to fucking coach. Anyway, they don't respect the Nets. That's how you know. And you know how we should have known that the Celtics don't respect the Nets? Is they could have ducked them, and they said, fuck that. They could have played Toronto, who is looking every bit as vulnerable against the Sixers. They could have had Toronto, but they said, no, give us the team with the third best odds to win it all. Just let us make them work for it. Fuck them. Every time Nash looks for a hole at any point, they're knocking him around. They're bringing multiple bodies his way. He can't get one-on-one. They're blocking him. It's Jaylen Brown and Tatum. They're strapping him, suffocating him. His shot selection has been atrocious. He can't score. The greatest scorer on the planet can't fucking score. It's unreal. Even he's admitting to it. Like, yeah, they're just guarding me really well. It's my job to fix it. I don't know if he's going to be able to fix it. And they look like an army out there. They look like a platoon where everyone is in lockstep with their roles. Holes are getting filled immediately defensively when they're rotating. It's just the disparity in coaching is egregious. Two of the best 20 players, two of the best 12 players on the planet, 15. I don't know where Kyrie is. I don't think he's top 10, but he's somewhere in there, depending on the night. He's not even eating food. Like, he's not eating food or water until sundown, which is at 7:30. So he's got to go into the game, and he's not eating it all day. And this team, this Celtics team, which all last year looked like a mess. The roster looked like they needed to be split up, and they are just dominating. 17 points up the Nets were, and did not matter. They came back and just won. They are showing why they could come out of the East and make some noise. Even Kyrie said that there's been an impact. Ime Udoka knows us really well. He coached our staff last year. He's had some keys to the treasure chest that he's telling those guys. True. Al Horford was discarded. He was hated in Philly. And he has been a tremendous leader to a roster that needed somebody to galvanize the troops. And now they are galvanized. Series that we thought would be gimmies, not gimmies at all, right? You've got the Suns and the Pelicans. And the Devin Booker injury now changes everything. And here's the thing. Here's the thing about an injury to somebody like Devin Booker. It doesn't affect really the Pelican series. They should win the 7 games, regardless. What it does is extend this series and put pressure and mileage on guys who, let's be honest, don't need to be having any more mileage on them, a.k.a. Chris Paul. Chris Paul needs to be like a 2007 Camry that your grandma's been driving since 2007. And it has 800 miles on it because all she does is go to Sprouts and back. Sprouts West Coast reference. That's my grandma's grocery store. But, like, all they do is go a mile and a half round trip to the grocery store once every 10 days for a few bananas and, like, pudding. That's what we need, the kind of mileage that needs to be going on Chris Paul in the middle of the playoffs. No. He's going to be getting like 35, 40 minutes now because Devin Booker is not there. You need him to lead the troops. You need him to increase his scoring and playmaking. And then what happens? Now in the second round, is Devin Booker back? We don't know. Hamstring injury going up to try to block a Jackson Hayes shot now has ripple effects, folks, on the Suns. So now in the second round, when they play the winner of what? They would play the Mavericks winner? Wouldn't they? Yeah. So say they play the Mavericks and Luka comes back and he's fully healthy. Now Devin Booker's not back yet. They're saying it's a grade 1 hamstring strain. He'll be back in at the very minimum 2 to 3 weeks. So now Chris Paul's still playing those minutes. So then you go to the Western Conference Finals. He's finally back. He's got to ramp up. Chris Paul starts to sputter. Maybe the injuries start to take in. Maybe the fatigue starts to take in. Him shouldering the burden. I tell you what, this is where Monty Williams is going to have to earn his pay because you're going to need to get huge performances now out of Cam Johnson. You're going to need huge performances out of Landry Shamet. And when I say his name like that, that's how you know he's not a real contributor. Landry Shamet needs to step up. Cam Payne needs to step up. We're going to need to have huge games from DeAndre Ayton is going to have to be. His usage rate is going to sky high. And that means JaVale McGee's going to have to take some of the burden off. It just changes, and this is why the depth of any team matters in the playoffs. Not that you're going to play them if an ideal situation continues, but if things go wrong like this, you've got backup plans, folks. And the backup plans need to be, you need to go and break the glass. It's time to break the glass and get JaVale McGee out of the fucking box, folks. Seriously. I tell you what. Also, Suns lost that Pelicans game. That's like burying the lead. Suns lost. Suns lost in Phoenix to the New Orleans Pelicans that started out 3-16. This is a team with 60-plus wins, losing at home to the Pelicans. You can chalk that up to just being shell-shocked because of the Devin Booker injury, or you can chalk that up to Scott Foster being a piece of shit. Chris Paul 0-14 now, I believe, in playoff games as Scott Foster referees.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I should have bet on the Pelicans, knowing that Scott Foster and Chris Paul were in a collision course yet again. And that's one of those games, too, like, someone's going to get injured. He doesn't call a goddamn foul, ever. Ever. Another little key piece of this series that I want to highlight is I must admit, pull back, confession time, how do I put this nicely? I don't like Brandon Ingram. I've said mean things time and time again about Brandon Ingram, mostly because he was mean to me in an interview when he was shooting a knee brace commercial, and I wanted a one-on-one, and the knee brace commercial granted me an interview that I don't think Brandon Ingram particularly knew about. So he was mean to me. My feelings were hurt. I got sad. I always hit it off with athletes, and he was not having any of my bullshit. I asked him, could you go and dunk for me? So he take some video for the shoot, put some little B-roll over it, and he was like, nah, I'm a gunner. I'm like, oh, well, fuck you then. It's fuck you from now on then. You know who said fuck you? Brandon Ingram, 37 points on the best defense, one of the best defensive teams in the league. Mikal Bridges had no chance to stop him on another world. Larry Nance Jr., who was a former Blazer center, backup center for the Pelicans, said, listen, I'm a good player. I am a really, really good player. Brandon Ingram, anytime he steps on the court, I think he's the best player on any court he steps on. That's saying a lot, but we got to give our props to Brandon Ingram. And if you said, Trysta, if you could have Brandon Ingram on your team, this version, how much would you want him? I would put my feelings aside. Like the generous soul I am, and I'd say, I think we'd take him. He's a gunner. He's a gunner. Nah, I'm a gunner. But anyway, CJ and him together, just a tremendous team. And that shows you that you can build a roster with an undersized guard that can't play defense. And if you put him around Herb Jones and guys like Jonas Valanciunas, who I didn't know played defense, and you can create the right type of weird roster, it can work. It can work. Moving forward to the next part of the series, next series in the playoffs, Bucks, Bulls. Man. First and foremost, let's get to the news portion. Chris Middleton, MCL strain. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest injuries. The East is pretty loaded. They're going to see some opponents that they're going to need him for. And he's now out, I don't even know how long. They're saying possibly 4 weeks. So, yeah. He hurt his knee in the fourth quarter, which they ended up losing to the Bulls. 2 injuries, 2 upsets. 2 injuries that happened at the latter part of the game as well, and the team had no ability to adjust. Now, Bulls were dominating this game, as were the Pelicans in their series with the Suns. So the injury, you can't attribute it to it all, but you would imagine that 2 gritty teams that were just both in the finals would have been able in crunch time to get the win. Like, that's the difference between a good team and a great team, is being able to get those victories when, it's close games. Mild MCL sprain, they say 2 to 4 weeks. Good news, he'll probably be back the back half of the second round. Bad news, this again, like the Suns, another long series potentially. Should have been a sweep. Now we're talking 6 probably. They got one in Milwaukee. Just like the Pels got one in Phoenix. Now they go back to their home court with a little fucking swagger. We're going to see. And the star players that you've been relying on are going to be Ghostface Killer. So, I don't know. Also, really quick, Alex Caruso. This motherfucker. Undrafted. And just a demon. Who would have thought Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's probably, I would say, the most unguardable human being on the planet. Let me just go ahead and look him up. Alex Caruso height. 6'4". 6'4", 200 and something pounds, going up against Giannis, who's a legit 7-footer. He's what? 6'11", 250. And we got Alex Caruso on Giannis in the block. Mate, force Giannis, offensive foul. Giannis looked like, what? That's not how he did the thing where he puts the arms out like LeBron, like he's grasping for something. Help me. No, Alex Caruso has straps. This is the reason I said Alex Caruso was one of the best free agent signings all off season. Another reason that the Lakers are fucking idiots. So put some respect on the GOAT, undrafted Texas A&M guard who looks like a janitor, strapping the most unguardable human being on the planet, not on the perimeter, which makes more sense, in the post. So insane. I love that. Gonna be a very interesting series.